Some men have problems being loyal to their significant other. I have problems.
I love where this is going.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Rewatchers on the Pod. You're here with me, Tyler Harris, and
Gwen Hammer.
Tyler McKinley.
Justin Hammer.
And our very special guest this week,
Truman Blanchard.
oh, Truman Blanchard.
Anime senpai.
The-
I must learn.
Notice me.
Truman Blanchard feels like the white whale of this podcast that we've been trying to get on forever. And now we got him. And we're going to make him stay for
And we're all
3
gonna
weeks.
3
learn.
episodes.
Yeah. But this week, we watched the first 8 episodes of Made in Abyss, a.k.a. the complicated mechanics of a robot boy's penis.
Very true.
I don't know if that's the direct translation, but I think the kanji
It's
looked
not that
like
complicated. Anime penis is just circle you. You know, that's all you got to draw.
Oh boy, yeah.
I'm glad we have an artist as a resident expert on that. That's good.
I got to see that Bob Ross episode. Just draw a big happy circle.
Big happy circle. Big human-looking robot balls. That's it.
Okay, how is it that we're talking about penises on this episode and we missed the big blue dong last episode?
Well, there was a lot of other complicated stuff going on in those. It felt weirder to bring it up, so I feel like it lived in me, and now it's like, whoa!
And Tyler and I had long conversations when we first saw Big Blue Dong in
There are
2008.
so many innuendos going on right now. I just want to throw that out there.
Is this Watchmen?
Yes. Once you've seen the big blue dong on the big screen, and you're also like, what row are we in? Like the 4th one? Like just right there.
Well, Tyler did want to rent out a theater. Is that what your intention was? To see
You
it
got
on the
me.
big screen?
You got me.
Okay.
And I,
It's just a super cut of Manhattan dongs.
but now it's just going to be like my video capture of me drawing anime penises on the big screen for all of you so you can learn how to do it.
There's a pencil and a piece of paper at every chair so you can draw along.
I'm beginning to wonder if I've been captured and now I'm a prisoner of war and this is like the torture.
Advanced
that's been...
interrogation.
I mean, yes.
Damn it.
Okay, so we did watch Made in Abyss, and there are a handful of references to penises that I'm sure we'll talk about. But Truman, you brought us this show. You're our expert for the next few weeks. Give us a little sales pitch on Made in Abyss, why we're watching it, what makes it special.
Oh, what makes Made in Abyss special? Well, it's beautiful, for one. It's got this air of whimsy to it that was appealing to me right out of the gate. There are a couple of content curators that I follow on YouTube that recommended it around the same time. And after learning a little bit more about it, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go watch this and see how it is. And it feels like being a kid at some points. It makes me think of Shadow of the Colossus and Eco, which were things that I loved when I was 14 to now, basically.
Sure, yeah.
And there's the air of mystery over the abyss itself that just draws you back in. It's like, I got to know what's going on down there. Why is this world so weird? Why do they string people up naked as a punishment?
It's just common, accepted by everyone.
Well, here's the thing. As an aside, I haven't done this yet. I'm trying...
Okay.
Well, let me finish, right? I've been trying to figure out how I can Google this safely. Like historical uses of nudity as a punishment. And I don't know how I'm going to do that and not have to brick my computer afterwards just to be safe. So.
You don't want to be on those watch lists.
Exactly. Right. Right.
That's amazing.
There are libraries, public libraries, and computers.
Yeah, but then you have to go to the receptionist and say,
where is the nudity section?
yeah, can you tell me about all of the ways people have been punished in the nude in history?
I mean, I will say that when I was in between high school and college, I was debating what I was going to do, and doing like an actual, fine arts degree was on the table. So I went to my public library and was trying to get figure drawing books because I knew those were classes, and that was something I was very bad at drawing, was anything below the chest line of a human being. So I had to go through fucking Fort Knox to get a book on nudity, man. Like, it's locked. I don't remember if it's even set up the same anymore, but like downstairs, there's like the center room. Like, it looks like a back room, like where they like receptionists are, like librarians are. I had to ask one of them. They had to take me, get a key, be escorted, unlock the door into this room. And they brought me out a drawing book to draw the human figure. And I was like, is this okay? Like,
did you go to touch the pages and they're like, we will turn these pages.
I was like, I'm not
And keep
21.
your hands on the top of the table, please.
That's
You have to wear gloves.
That is how you paid for college, though, right? Is you sold cell phone pictures of the nudity books that were locked up at the library.
What was this? The Orem Public Library?
Yes.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not the case with other places. I mean, if you go to New Orleans, it's,
Just open your front door.
Yeah, I mean, I walked into the
I
Salt
have no
Lake
idea.
Public Library, and they literally put one in my hands before I could even get a card. I had no library card
welcome
yet.
to the city.
Oh, man. Heathens.
Anyway, sorry, sidetrack.
Man, Made in Abyss is great.
But it's a good point you brought up about some video games, because I got some Shadow Claws, especially his like helmet reminds me a lot of
Yes.
Ico, and but I was getting a lot of Skyward Sword vibes, Zelda.
Oh, okay.
Like, there's a lot of things in there. There's sounds, even the title screens for each episode. There's like a sound that's very Zelda, and some of the sound effects, some of the music. There's the idea in Skyward Sword how there's like all the humans live up on a land above everything, and then underneath is like this unmapped place where all these creatures are. I hate that fucking game. It's my least favorite Zelda game, but
Ancient technology down below.
yeah,
as
there's like
well.
robots down there. Yeah, so I don't know. That's the vibe I was getting a lot from that.
It also, I know that I love Dark Souls, right? It has a lot of Dark Souls feeling things in it. Particularly later on, we'll get to it.
Okay.
But particularly themes of longing and like an insatiable want. That's very Dark Souls 2. And then just the dark fantasy where the world is super screwed up and there are cheerful bits and then there are not so cheerful bits.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
But
like
elevators too, or like Bloodborne elevators.
Oh,
like
yeah,
cages.
it's true, yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, because you mentioned the whimsy, and it really does have that, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, shit. It's got really dark, like, just very quickly. But yeah, it's super interesting. One thing I wanted to ask you is, does Super Eye Patch Wolf have a video on this? I was going to look this up. Okay.
He does. Don't
That's
watch it yet.
I have not watched it. Shadow recommendation, Super Eye Patch Wolf. His videos rule, he's awesome.
Eye patch or briar patch?
Eye Patch.
Oh.
Super Eye Patch Wolf.
Super Briar Patch Wolf is a totally different genre. Don't go there.
But yeah, let's just kind of talk. I mean, we've kind of touched on kind of some of the broader strokes of the way this world works. I want to get this out of the way because I can't stop thinking about it. We talked a lot about like just the examination of this robot's penis. It's also just thrown off in a conversation early on that someone was struggling to see in his butthole and shoved a yardstick up there just while he was asleep.
And it broke.
And it broke.
it
Yeah.
off.
But don't
And
worry,
she
they got it out.
out.
Yeah. Like there is either like a just immense respect for scientific endeavors and curiosity in this world, or everyone's just real weird. And I think both of those could probably be true at the same time. But yeah, so basically, I mean, we have our main character Rico, and I mean, it's hard to.
It's reg.
Yeah, reg.
Reg.
I know it, like hearing it, and then I'm reading subtitles. and
Regu.
You know me and words. Yeah. Who is a robot of unknown origin at this? The bottom of the abyss, we assume somehow. And yeah, I think the way this show starts is really incredible because it's like packed full of information that I had no context for. But like within 5 minutes, I was pretty hooked. Like there was a very like clear world built already, and some cool shit happened like almost immediately. And I'm a sucker for like the over ambitious anime character who's just like, I'm gonna be number one always. It's just every anime. But yeah, I don't know. What were your guys' impressions, kind of with the beginning of it, and just kind of like diving into all of this? It's just so much information.
I absolutely fell for the whimsy and the beautiful environment artwork. And same thing, within 5 minutes, I was like, oh, okay, I like this world. I want to know more. And it's moved a little slowly since then, but I'm still invested.
We'll talk about the pace.
Okay.
I'm like kind of the reverse of you guys, I think. At the beginning, I was kind of like, here we go. It's another anime character. Like, there's a lot of anime worlds where they're just like really into the structure of like work and school and how like very merit based and being graded on things. And how the first episode kind of went, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to sit through like 6 episodes of them like digging shit up and like bringing it back to get graded, and her progressing to then get the whistle that she needs to actually go on her journey. But thankfully, that I actually enjoyed. Now that I've seen 8 episodes, I enjoy those first 2 or 3 a lot more for how they set things up than I originally did when I first saw the 3.
Justin, do you have any thoughts on?
I feel like I've been having like cultural whiplash, just being yanked back and forth. Like some of the recent anime stuff that I've watched felt like it was. It had more of like an American audience in mind, and this doesn't feel that way to me. And we've talked about some of that already. So like pacing is a big thing that is on my mind. I think there's things that I'm thinking of that we'll get to eventually, but as far as like the start goes, I think as far as world building and everything, it's really interesting. Like Truman has said, the abyss. Like I want to know what's going on down there. That's like that hook is definitely there. So yeah, I've been drawn in, but I've got thoughts about other things too. So yeah.
Sure. So one question I do have, we've kind of talked about pacing, like people brought that up, and kind of maybe where the story's at. So we're watching this 13 episodes series. Mm-hmm. There's a movie afterwards. Is it complete at this point?
No.
Or are we okay?
So this Made in Abyss is based off of a manga by the same name, manga, however you want to say it, which I have up through 6. I got those to read, to do research, right? To be able to comment intelligently while here. The show covers the 1st through the 3rd and a tiny bit of the 4th volumes. The movie afterward is the 4th and 5th volume. And then I think there are either 8 or 9 currently volumes total. Okay. So we've got 6 through 8 or 9 that haven't been adapted yet. They're working on it, as I understand. And it's going to be a TV show instead of a movie this time.
Interesting.
So they're bouncing back and forth.
Is the manga complete?
No, it's not done.
How do they know how many they're going to be?
I don't know.
It's interesting because where we're at in these episodes, I feel like they're very far, down the abyss.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how is there that much left?
Yeah. I also was kind of going into this with the impression that it was going to be like 13 episodes and kind of like a soft ending or like a completed thing, and then the movie was like the continued adventures of Abyss or whatever, and so that's interesting to hear. That does make me more interested to see where this ends in the next 5 episodes.
Without getting into it, I'm very excited for y'all. It'll be a wild ride.
Cool.
So
Cool. I do want to talk about. There's a couple things in this show that I really appreciated. We've talked about the whimsy. There are two things in these episodes that happen that like I like kind of had to stop things because I was laughing so hard. One of them is when I think it's when Reg he tells Rico that he's gonna go with her, and she's been crying. She hugs him, and there's just a snot string
snot
from her
noodle,
nose to his hair, and I was like, oh, that's still there, and like this shot's really long, and then they cut to the next shot, which is a reverse of the other. Well, not a reverse, but like from a different angle, and it's still there. It's just the continuity of this snot string was like a commitment to a bit that I really appreciated.
Well, let's give them props for realistic crying, because
Yes,
pretty crying is not a thing.
Yeah.
There's always snot.
and sometimes it gets in people's hair and sticks to your nose, and then you try to go through a door, and it gets. Never mind. Anyways, the other moment that I was thinking of is just Rico's stomach grumble, which is also held for so long and through shots. Like it is in one shot and then continues into another shot, which good for you. That's great. I'm a huge fan of all of that. But yeah, let's talk about the world of Made in Abyss a little bit, because it gets hairy pretty quick as far as like who like the hierarchy, what colors are things, and all of that. But yeah, so we kind of start with this. We learn about red whistles kind of right off the bat, and they're kind of the lowest tier of that. But I think that like Tyler mentioning the idea of like Japanese anime being fascinated with structures of things is, I didn't like ever really put those pieces together, but man, some of it feels masturbatory in a way that is masterful, I think. I don't know. It's like it's really incredible, and nerds rule. But yeah, I don't know, like, if you guys had any thoughts on just kind of like the world in general, kind of that we're thrust into here with the red. I think I got all these right. Red, blue, moon, black, and white
moon.
Whistles. Which the moon are just the purple whistles, like the teachers.
Yeah, they're
right?
instructors or whatnot.
Yeah.
They're also technically the bells, which are the uber noobs that aren't allowed to go in the abyss at all.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So Reg is a bell when he first starts, and then there's the little boy whose name I can't pronounce, like Kiyu.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, little cutie.
A little baby.
Yeah.
I maintain, if he dies, I riot.
You'll be the only one in the street just breaking shit.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, you might be the
Justice
only
for
one rioting
Q.
for that. You'll probably just have to
Those riots
attach
are-
yourself to another riot,
It's true.
which won't be hard to find.
If you're going to go connect yourself to a riot, this is the week for it. You can just say,
just here
save
for
the kid.
I would like to think I'm a little smarter than those dumbasses.
Yeah,
I'll just throw
Maybe a little.
everything soft I can reach at Truman.
that's fair.
It's happened before.
But yeah, do you guys have any kind of thoughts on that, or like just things in the world that stuck out to you, Gwen?
I want to understand the economics of the relics and the wider world and who is buying this shit and why it's so important and so valuable, and like why are they taking these risks? Because they seem to do it for the adventure, but it seems like there's an economy around it, and it keeps that town afloat. And there's this incredible disregard for children's safety that
They're orphans.
The economy must.
It's like Australia. Like, they're all criminals.
Yeah, Orth is a penal colony. Little did you know.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Seriously, though, what kind of money makes it worth it to be sending kids willy-nilly down into a pit and be like, we're gonna just, encounter these monsters, and you children go off by yourself for 10 days, and that's a lesson you'll learn, and if you die, oh well.
That's a different.
I want to understand the context for this.
Gwen, I got so many theories. You don't even know.
Okay.
I got theories they have to stick a yardstick up my ass to pull them out. Like, look. All right, so theory number one, and we'll get to all 17 of them, I'm sure. it's possible that the relics are their corpses. Now,
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there. Okay, who's
You know, the
royal
corpses.
there?
the people on the island. So they all go down to this source that's calling them, and then they just so it's a process, right?
Okay.
They go down and then they turn into creatures. All those animals down there is just their ancestors. And then the deeper they go down, they just get turned into hard shit. And like and then they fossilize and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this person, like the giant Bell was one of those Bell kids that snuck in there and he became the Bell."
Okay.
Right?
I'm into this.
And that big cube is like one of the ultimate white whistles, right? Because there's a big white cube. So it's just this cycle, and they bring them back up, and then they're like, our ancestors. We need more of these dead ancestor bodies. And so that's just like a call to go back in, because the pit needs food, right? It needs sustenance. Okay, theory number 1's done.
It's actually
So it's-
just a giant Sarlacc pit.
It ended
Purgatory.
with the Dustin. Yeah.
They'll get to the bottom and Boba Fett's down there, you know.
And it's a metaphor for greed.
Now I'm on board.
I'm in. All right, 2 through 17.
Or we'll all get there. Other things will be brought up.
I do. So one thing that I think is interesting is you ask about the economy. They mention multiple times foreign cave raiders.
Yeah, exactly.
How do they get down there? There's a giant city built around this thing, right? And presumably all of the entrances are guarded. And we see that in the show. How do the foreign cave raiders get there? And
Drills.
how do they get out?
I was literally thinking that. Or what if there are portal pits that have popped up in other parts of the world and people are like, where the fuck does this go? Oh, I don't know, some crazy animals and some city people who want to kill me.
Good thing I have my pickaxe.
I was thinking like Wright brother type airplanes, and they just jump off.
Well, they have airships.
Oh,
Like they're in the manga. It's mentioned that an airship flew down the middle and got super boned as it was going down, and that's where the kid with the blue hair at the seeker camp is from. They are the sole survivor of that airship from who knows where crashing.
Is that, and because they mentioned that they can't live on the surface too, right? Is that
I have no idea.
connected to their, okay. I wasn't sure if that was connected to like where they were from or if they're just very fair skinned. I wasn't sure.
I mean, look, I glow in the dark and moonlight. I feel like I can't live on the surface either, so we're good.
We'll find you a seeker camp one of these days.
Perfect.
Just gotta find that.
Just don't
damn
make me wear
inverted forest.
dresses.
So yeah, I think let's talk about just kind of the characters a little bit. We talked about Rico. She's featured in a really touching montage that has just her being strung up naked, right in the middle of it as music plays, and then just keeps going.
I wasn't sure how I was supposed to feel.
Yeah.
Like I still
Weird.
don't know how the show wants me to feel about these kids being strung up naked. I'm like, is it supposed to be as dark as it looks, or am I supposed to be laughing?
Yeah, is this
like,
yeah.
Because I feel very uncomfortable, especially when I saw it. I was like, oh my gosh.
And the headmistress is in the back with like something like a flog or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, and that's kind of like littered through the beginning of this. It's like, oh yeah, this girl, she just got into so much trouble, so they moved you to the torture chamber as her normal room.
It's where she lives.
Jeez. And like, yeah, they wake up right by strapping him to like an electric chair, just an old like 1800s ass like an electric chair.
Why
Great.
does the orphanage have a torture room?
Presumably it wasn't always an orphanage, right?
Oh, good
Hopefully,
point. Good point.
What was it before they said? I can't remember.
Yeah. School for kids.
Oh, no. Yeah. It was a boarding school.
That's the worst save.
It was a nursery.
That's why they have tortured. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's for torturing the adults who are thinking about having children. Like, prepare yourself for children. Maybe it's birth control.
Maybe. I mean, come to think of it, this may just be because of the parameters of the show, and most of the characters we know are orphans. Have we seen anyone with a kid? Like any parents with a child?
I don't think so.
No, not that I can think of.
New theories are brewing.
None of the kids are real.
Because no one has. Let's get it straight. None of the female kids are real.
There's a clear gender divide. Yeah, but let's talk about. I mean, we kind of got derailed talking about Rico, but we've kind of talked about she's a very typical feeling, like archetypal feeling anime character that like kind of like go getter at the beginning that wants to be the best. And then I feel like within, is it the second episode or I think it's the second episode that it's revealed that her, or maybe it's the third one, that her mom is Liza the Annihilator.
Which is the dumbest and best nickname ever, by the way. What a good title.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. And like, yeah, I mean, and honestly, being the offspring of anyone who has gained the title Liza the Annihilator, you're done. It's pack it up. You're done. But then, I mean, the reveals about her character as we get further in, and like one of the latest reveals we've had, are really weird. They're like things I didn't really expect to see, specifically about her character. Like, I expected to find some weird stuff out about Reg, which we still haven't really gotten anything along those lines of kind of like what his origin is, what he's remembered. Like, you know, he's having kind of these flashes, but we're not really getting any full pictures. But that reveal that she was stillborn and was like probably given life by the Abyss in a way, like is really cool. Like, I'm actually really excited to see how that, and maybe we won't now that I know that it's not good, that we've got a long ways to go, but like I wonder, you know, like what other information is there, what other things does that mean for her. But yeah, and I will say I really enjoy her relationship with Reg, aside from the just blatant abuse at the beginning that thank God happens off screen. But
he's a robot. She didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something about Rico that I find really charming, is she's very innocent. For a kid who lives next to the Abyss and presumably has known people go down there and never come back, she's very happy-go-lucky and innocent. One of the big draws to the show for me initially was Rico and her relationship with Reg, because Rico makes me think of Lyra Belacqua from His Dark Materials, from the Golden Compass in those books. I mean, she's an orphan, she's very scrappy, and she's very determined to accomplish what she wants to. She's a little naive, but she's got a lot of knowledge. And then she's paired with Reg, who, he's not like Will from His Dark Materials, but their relationship is very interesting in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that the reveals that we do get about Reg, like, it's interesting. Like, it is kind of an inversion of the typical like robot thrown in with a bunch of human story of like, oh, you guys care about things? It's just like, he seems to care about things more than a lot. Like, he seems more in tune to like the dangers and like the loss that occurs than other characters seem to be, which is really interesting for his character,
because he's not used to it,
right? Yeah. But yeah, I think that's really interesting. I don't know if you guys have anything to say about
characters. That's a really good point that I didn't think of, is that most characters that are robots now, it's like, I mean, it was cool when it was first being introduced, but now it's kind of getting tired of like, it's always exploring like, what is it to be alive? What is it to be human? Whereas it's weirdly refreshing to have a robot character who is not exploring that theme per se. Like, I mean, I guess you could make an argument that it is on like a sub level, but like, that's not like the main points of them being a robot in this story. At least right now, maybe that'll change, but I don't know. It feels like there's a lot more to Reg. It feels like there's like a big, like the twist that was just revealed to us. I feel like there's something on that level coming with Reg that is almost like on that same level of uncomfortable, is at least what I'm expecting. it might not be the case. But I think that is a good point I didn't think of.
Yeah. Well, and I think like with that whole robot thing, like I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it was real. He's not really a robot, like because there are so many hints, like of like even him, like even the way that he examines himself when he wakes up is like, oh, I'm a robot.
Yeah, that's like the first thing he says.
Yeah.
Am I really a robot? It's
Yeah.
been bugging me.
And he's like, does a robot need a belly button? Which like would insinuate that he knows like why humans have belly buttons. And then he's also like, do I need a whoa? And he's like, he also knows about sex, which like all of that. It's just like so interesting. I don't know. There's a lot. So I'm fully expecting that to be kind of flipped on us.
You ready for theory number 2? It's going to make you uncomfortable.
Oh God. Yes.
Reg is her dad.
So okay, let me reframe this just a little bit. What you're saying is Reg is Liza the Annihilator's lover.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Not directly.
Oh, okay.
Like
just a baby.
Not
dad
like
anymore.
not like the child robot was banging Liza the Annihilator. No.
That's ridiculous.
As compared to this, which is totally plausible, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So
Totally different
there's a
thing.
cube that can reanimate dead corpses. Oh, good, Gwen, you're here again to hear my number 2 theory.
I'm ready.
To catch you up, Reg is Rico's
Yeah.
dad.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a cube, right, that can reanimate dead things. How is that working? We don't know. We're not scientists or soothsayers, so like we're.
The 2 cube experts in the world.
So who's to say you can't transmit someone else's, like, who's to say how that's working? It could be taking someone else's consciousness and putting it into these meat bags. So like, like there's those creatures that can mimic people, through the same biological technology that is.
How about you just throwing science under the bus in this theory? I really like it. Fucking idiots.
So yeah, they're down in the bottom of like the pit, and like she's a white whistle, he's a black whistle. He's like, I can't go down there. She's like, you're coming with me, you idiot. And he dies, and she's like, fuck, you were right. You can't come down here. How am I gonna save you? Here's a baby. It's a corpse. Ideas. Put it in the cube. Transfer your consciousness because you're dying, and now we have into a robot body. Wait, I mixed that up. She's not the dad.
I was like, Rico is her own father in this
That is
in this hypothesis. This is good.
that is actually my other not at this. It's a theory that would have to be separate. Is that she is actually Liza the Annihilator, which doesn't really make sense because she came back to the surface since they were both alive at the same time. But
Well, we've never seen them together.
we've never seen them together, and they look a lot alike, minus the furry eyelashes. So
She does have furry eyelashes.
So yeah, either Reg is Rico's dad through the cube transfer, or she is actually literally part of Liza's soul through the cube transfer.
Aren't children always parts of our souls?
They're part of our biological makeup, and
Weren't you earlier talking about a torture room as an example of good birth control? Maybe.
Look, it's been a rough week.
Gwen, this is a place of science. If you don't want to take that seriously in the conversation,
And soothsaying, apparently.
Look, I fall
hand in
on the
hand.
spectrum of science and soothsayer. I fall on wizard, so I'm a little lost, okay?
We're completely unequipped to analyze the
Okay, so where are we
world.
at? 3 of 17? Okay, let's keep going.
I do wonder, by the way, I don't know the answer to this. I do wonder if Reg was human at some point.
Sure.
We have no idea. But he seems too human to just be programmed to be human-like.
Right.
Especially compared to all the other relics.
Right.
Yeah.
What do they call him? What do they keep referencing?
An Aubon,
Albon or something?
which is a French word, apparently.
Yeah, I'm wondering about the word that irredeemable is translated from, because lots of things are irredeemable, and it seemed
so
like a
good.
strange
I
choice.
love it.
It reminds me of Princess Bride, how he just keeps saying inconceivable, and then finally like, I don't think that word means what you think it means. Like, if this is on a societal level, irredeemable is
Irredeemable feels like a direct translation thing, but the weird thing is, I mean, I've seen a lot of anime, and I have not seen that translation a lot. Like, irredeemable is not one that comes up.
That's how it's written in the manga too. And the weird thing is, you think it's just a Reg thing because he's like, it's irredeemable this, and then Ozen later is like, irredeemable this, and it's like, what is this world in which that is an okay sentence?
Yeah, that's what got me, is that Ozen used it too.
Oh, maybe she made him.
Or, I mean, there's also when Rico is talking to Reg, and Reg says, "Oh, I was thinking about your delusion earlier," and she's like,
Yes, that was the other one.
"My theory, that's not a delusion." It's like, that's not how you go about saying that. But that's how it is in the manga in English as well. So it's like, is this just, does the guy just write the dialogue this way, or is the person doing the translation being strange? I don't know.
Is it a
So
really
interesting.
good translation, or is it a passable translation that allows you basic context?
Don't know. Love it either way.
I want to know,
So
man.
interesting. Oh man,
Can we talk about Ozen?
yeah, let's do it.
I don't like Ozen.
Well,
Just
she is
throwing that out there.
irredeemable.
She's very irredeemable.
Ozen is my favorite character.
This
in
is
the
one
show.
of those. This is one of those like whiplash moments for me because like it feels very tropey. Like this whole like evil tutor who's just trying to teach a lesson, but I don't know. It felt it didn't feel believable for me. Which is why I don't like Ozen, because she just doesn't come across any way. I'm having a hard time connecting in any way to her character at all.
Justin, tell me this: is there any way we can redeem her in your eyes? No, but I kind of had that same feeling. Like by the end of these episodes I watched, like the last little bit where it shows her like flashing back and we see Liza for the first, like we see her face for the first time. It was kind of like she was like, "These crazy kids," and you're like, "I don't think you get to do that and be
Yeah.
as bad as you are." Like it's
and
really
like
weird.
she was like this huge mentor figure for Liza, and then she casually is like, "You weren't this brave when I hit you last night." It's like, holy shit, woman! What? Why are you hitting people?
She's a misanthrope. That's what she is.
When you have on one side of the scale stringing someone up naked, hitting is the bottom.
Okay,
That's
but
level
she's
one.
stringing
you know?
people up naked
She
too.
is. Oh yeah, she totally is. The other thing, I might have just missed this, which is why I want to ask this. When she like takes off her robe, you just see flicked up arms, and I can't remember what she calls it, like the 1,000-man or
1,000-man wedges. I think.
1,000-man wedges. Does she explain what exactly those do? I think I might have
Make
missed
her
that.
strong?
Okay, that's what I assumed, but then I was like, oh man, did I miss something when I was like trying to write down "big lady scary" in my notes?
This goes along
Big
with my
grandma
other
scary.
theory.
Yeah.
She's putting relics in her skin, which are people. She's getting the strength of all the people.
Yeah, each of those wedges is 1,000 people. Holy shit! Oh my god, yeah, these corpses.
Oh, but I actually really liked. I mean, I hate her. I mean, she's obviously an awful person. I really like what her character brings to the show. I think that she made those last 3 episodes, like, those are my favorite episodes and made me appreciate the whole season as a whole more. Because I feel like I totally fell for that. I mean, you could argue that it was kind of cheap, but like her like trying to murder these children, I was like, oh yeah, this person totally murders children. Like, this world doesn't have a problem with stringing them up in BDSM torture. Like, they're not gonna have a problem with this giant maniac murdering them. And so I fully bought into like the reality of that situation. Like when it was like, it was all tests. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Like,
That's the turning point that I had a hard time with, though, because after that I was like, I don't know what.
well,
Why
like,
are we doing this?
No one has been able to get me with that for a long time. And because like people try and do like the whole I was just testing you thing, and it's never diabolical enough. And it's always you can see right through it. Whereas this, at least maybe you guys did. I personally didn't see through it.
I did not.
And it was very dark. And I feel like with the reveals we get of her character, and like I like the idea that these people who are like these champions of society are these despicable fuckers. Like, they even and like some.
I think Liza was described that way as well by Riku's teacher, right? Doesn't her teacher like talk about how terrible a person Liza, or maybe it was her uncle? I don't remember.
No, it's
saying she's drunk.
It's Leader,
Leader,
the teacher at the orphanage.
I'd forgotten
apprentice.
about
Apprentice,
that. Yeah, apprentice, right?
Yeah, and and then there's the ones that Ozen describes later, like the 3 or 4 that are
the boss battles that are coming up.
Yeah, and
supposedly.
he's like, that guy's like way worse than me. Like, they're these horrible people because I'm assuming the abyss kind of transforms you as you go deeper down. It has a toll on you, and so that's why I think we see that as like kind of our first glimpse of how serious that can get with Ozen's character, because I mean, she has kind of ceased being human. I mean, she's pretty old. They describe that she's been a White Whistle for 50 years. And she was already, I mean, she looks the exact same as she did in those flashbacks. So I don't know how old she actually is, but she has been becoming less and less human for some time, it seems like. And I think that the moments, and I could be misinterpreting this, it seems like there's moments where like normally this flashback would be telling you, look, they actually do care. I don't get the feeling that she actually does care. I get the feeling that she is her motivations are very self-serving, all the way through and through. And the only reason she's helping them is, obviously I think there's more to be revealed with her character, but to whatever she has, whatever her selfish connections are to the Annihilator. So I don't know. I really enjoyed how they introduced her character and how dark and fucked up she is, and how how horrifying that is for the kids to be like, this is the only person that can help me right now, and they're the fucking worst.
I think that kind of touches on something that I do really like about this is all of the adult figures that we've interacted with, maybe except for the leader guy, have seemingly been just like willing to go along or quickly change their minds and just kind of like don't really care about the danger that children are being put into. Like the uncle, for example, he comes down in some sort of an attempt to rescue them or help them or something, and he's trying to convince them to do something, and they're like, no, we got to go down to the abyss. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm going to stop. Or he's like, well, let me help you down there. And Riku is like, no, this is my final test or whatever the thing is that she says. And he's just like, okay, well, if that's what you want, all right, go ahead, go get yourselves killed, basically.
I mean, he makes it clear he was there to see the artifact penis.
That's true, yeah.
Oh gosh, I forgot.
And the rest of him, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But first, let's get this out of the way.
Yeah, so it feels like there's this very stark difference between children and adults in this world, which, I mean, that might be, I'm going to keep that in mind as we keep going and just kind of explore those ideas a bit more, because it feels pretty blatant. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, that's the only like sort of theme I've latched onto is trusting children to do hard and or crazy things. That's like the only common thread that I've like been able to pull out theme wise.
It seems too like the adults go along with Rico and Reg going on their descent, right? It seems like this is something that happens somewhat frequently, maybe not always with children, but they talk about white whistles taking their last dive. Mm-hmm. So,
and the red whistles, if they go past the second, or if they get to the second layer, it's considered suicide.
Right, like they're
for
done.
10-year-olds, or however old a red whistle. Okay, 12-year-olds. Like, not saying that isn't a real issue in the world, but that it's a very dark thing to be dealing with. 12-year-olds is just like, oh, if they're gone, and it was suicide. It wasn't like an accident. They consider it a suicide,
and just treating it like a matter of course. Like, this happens enough that there is protocol for it,
right?
Which is interesting.
We have an SOP for this, right here. See the steps. Talk to your supervisor.
There's something she does that I really find entertaining. That's like really small but very purposely done. Is whenever she like needs to excuse herself or be forgiven for something and she's bowing, her pigtails always just slap the person in front of them. It's just a weird little animation thing that I love that happens every time.
The scene with Ozen where she slams her face onto the table fucking got me. That was real good. And it was like, she's like also so practiced at it. It didn't even phase her. Like, it wasn't one of those anime moments where she like did it and then it like does that ultra close up and she's like, you know, a melting face. It's just like, no, this is how it is. This is how I be, dog. It's very good.
That's how I be. I'm ready for her to say that.
I'm working on a fan translation of Made in Abyss right now.
I want to ask a question about Ozen.
Yeah.
I want to know if y'all think she actually hates Rico or not, because she says she does. She says it at least
During
twice.
the test phase, though, right?
But
Or does she say
No,
that
before
afterwards as
she
well?
ever-
before she even meets the kids, like the end of whatever episode that is, she's like, the brat has finally made it here or something.
That's right, yeah.
And then later she says to Rico's face, I despise you, when she's talking about how she was stillborn. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I think she hates her because she's a reason that Liza is no longer with Ozen. I think there was a moment of intense jealousy when Liza said she got married out of the blue, with that really terrifying like close up of
The gothic Pikachu face.
yeah, that one. So there was that moment of jealousy, and then baby came along, and then Liza went on her big dive because she had to leave the child because reasons.
Parenting will do that to you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go down, throw myself in a
Into
pit.
the abyss.
She was afraid she was going to be overprotective, was the idea, I think.
Yeah, so trusting kids to do hard things and choose their own path.
I don't think she would have been a good mom, but
I don't disagree.
You don't win Mom of the Year for annihilating things. if you're known for annihilating things, it's not like they're like fucking parent rules. I mean, someone's saying that, but they just like
she might
annihilators.
annihilate a diaper change. I don't know.
Sounds dangerous.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, I assume. I hope we get more of that. I hope we get more of Ozen, like going forward, because I think that there's obviously much more than we're seeing. And I'd forgotten about the moment that you mentioned until you just brought that up. Was that jealousy, that moment of jealousy, like. I'd forgotten about that, but that is a very like distinct and purposeful moment for sure. So
Most human moment we get out of her, probably.
yeah, I think that's probably right.
I thought it was interesting that her color palette and even her character design was really similar to the orphanage lady. And I feel like there's some sort of connection there, even if it's just implicit. So
Probably the orphanage lady is Ozen's mom.
definitely.
I think that the orphanage lady is...
Via cube.
This is going to get really Metal Gear Solid. All right, like... I think...
Well,
Irredeemable?
wait till you meet Liquid Reg. He's
Look, when she put all those, like, bars into her flesh... She needed somewhere to put all the blood. So she put all the blood into this corpse that then became, her through osmosis of this blood. So she's like a clone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we're hitting the 4 pillars of Tyler's theories.
Not real clone.
Women. Blah. Well, yeah, are there any other kind of final thoughts on these episodes? There's a lot in these. Like, we obviously didn't summarize because that would have been a fucking hour long of me sweating my balls off trying to get through it. But like, I'm really excited to see where it goes. And yeah, I'm excited to see where these episodes end, because these were released a while ago, weren't they? I think these were, like,
2017.
yeah, and the movie was just, I mean, it was supposed to be released last year, I think, based on what I was reading, and then obviously...
It was
all that
out
stuff
last
happened.
year.
Okay.
Like, I've seen it.
Oh,
so
you've seen it? Okay,
I
okay.
have.
I wasn't sure if you'd seen it. And it is a little harder to find, though. It's like, you do have to pay to stream it still, I think, right? Is that
We do.
right? Okay. Yeah, and we'll talk about that when we get later. You still got episodes to watch. So just watch them.
I've got
Okay, go ahead.
one thought real quick. Has anybody else noticed or felt anything about the way the story is delivered? Like how much internal dialogue we're getting, and it's very, I don't know if I have the right words to describe it, but there's not very much showing. I feel like it's very much telling a lot of what's happening. At least that's how I feel.
That last segment had like a ton they just dumped on you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I
A
don't even
huge
remember
narrative
half of it.
dump. Yeah, I
And-
feel like that's one thing that I've felt for most of this show so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And the weird voiceovers too that are coming from different voices a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But are they the characters in the show, or are they just
A
who was in
narrator
the
of some
studio?
kind. Yeah.
Like,
Well, and they're bookending a lot of the episodes. Like, it's
Yeah.
always at the beginning and ends.
Reg's
Yeah,
a
so it's-
narrator a lot of times, but then there's,
But not always.
Then there's like random ones. Yeah, it's very weird.
Don't feel like, have we had any of Riku's internal dialogue at all?
I don't know if she has any internal dialogue.
I don't
think
know
it's
if we
all
have.
pushed out.
I mean, that's kind of anime.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean, it's why I talk to myself so much. Like when I work and I'm like drawing and doing stuff, I like talk myself through what I'm doing because I watched a lot of anime as a kid, and I thought, you speak everything that goes on up here, so everyone knows what you're doing. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything particular with the show that is a reason for that. I think that's just kind of anime in general. Is like, I mean, it's kind of one of the big critiques I have of anime is that they're not the best at showing. They love to tell. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
We didn't even call out the cool annihilation monster, the corpse weepers that are like imitate human speech. Man, go watch the fucking annihilation.
Yeah,
Jesus. Woof.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you've
I'm not gonna.
yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything because
Fuck,
yeah.
man.
Definitely got some Annihilation vibes from.
Although-
the
let's
Gwen's-
do that movie.
Gwen's
I
read that, right?
the first
You-
book and a
okay.
half, but
Okay.
the movie is more than the first book, right?
Okay. I read that series after I saw the movie. It's very different.
Okay.
Because here's the way it was adapted. Alex Garland read the first book once and was like, wrote a screenplay.
Oh.
So it's
Well, I really liked the first book a lot.
it's great. I'll be interested to see what you think of the movie because
Okay.
the movie is much more Alex Garland than.
I don't remember.
Anyways, yeah, whatever his name is, Jeff Vandermeer. Fuck. Yeah, that's the name, I think. Anyways, but yeah, I'll be interested to see what you think of the movie because
Okay.
it's an interesting. Part of me thinks like that's the way all things should be adapted because I'm fucking tired of hearing the same critiques of books. It's like, well, they left this part out, and it's like it's a fucking movie. You gotta make a different story. Anyways, all right. Any other thoughts on adaptations?
Yeah. Speaking of that, Truman, do you feel like that the show is pretty beat for beat the same as the manga, or is there a lot of stuff left out?
No, it's almost beat for beat. Like there are particularly the scene where Rico and Reg first descend into the abyss from the platform and they leave Nat and Shiggy, I think is the dude's name.
Yeah.
The drawings for that correspond almost perfectly with the animation. It's really cool how they've recreated some of the things from the manga in the show. It's a really good adaptation because it leaves out some of the stranger things from the manga. Like as an example, in the incinerator episode, Rico knocks out because of the strain of the abyss, which we should talk about too someday because it's interesting.
Yeah.
And she throws up on herself, and Reg takes off her clothes to check her for injuries, and then when she wakes up, he's all embarrassed because she's naked from the waist up, right? In the show, her breasts are covered by her hair. In the manga, they're not. And, I mean, she's on the cusp of adolescence, and so it's a little like, why is this in here? This is bizarre. And she's so childlike, and Reg is so like on the cusp of adolescence, and he's a little awkward about it. it doesn't feel good. But in the show,
Yeah.
it's not there at all. It's just like, oh, this is just how it is.
Yeah.
And so, as far as adaptations go, I think they internationalized it in the best possible way.
Sure.
So,
Look, man, 2 weeks ago I went on a small rant. I was upset about seeing 16-year-old nipples in an anime. They got a problem over there that needs to be sorted out.
I'll say I agree, but man, I did not care for that sentence.
yeah, too many underage boobs in anime. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on that note,
Not this one though. Which
Yeah, not this one,
that was
no.
the point I was trying to make.
not
is-
even butt cracks.
it's true.
Yeah. All right. Next week we will finish the rest of the episodes of the show, 9 through 13. Currently.
Get ready for a tonal shift. Is all I will say.
Oh boy, I cannot wait. And then the weekend following that, we will be watching the movie Dawn of the Deep Soul. So many D's. Okay. So we'll be watching those the next couple weeks. For now, if you want to reach out to us about Made in Abyss or anything, go ahead and email us at rewatchersonthepod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram or Twitter at rewatcherspod. We'll take a brief break and be back with some recommendations of other stuff. Probably more anime. Who knows? We're wacky in here. See you soon. Welcome back to the recommendation section of the podcast where we talk about other stuff that's not the stuff we already talked about in this episode, but we're also
Have you heard of Made in the Abyss? Or Made in the
shit.
Abyss?
Oh no. He's off script. Gwen, what do you have to recommend for us?
So I started Before They Are Hanged, which is the follow-up to The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I told you guys last time that there's nothing original. Yeah,
Irredeemable.
This one reads.
fuck you. There's nothing original.
No, this one drinks. That's different.
Maybe I don't drink enough, okay? There's nothing. I had a problem with the word last week, too, didn't I? I'm going to try again. There is nothing original
Nibble.
shut up, about this series, but I'm having so much fun with it. It's just there's barbarians and wizards and there's nothing original, and I'm having so much fun. And there's a torturer who is actually interesting because he doesn't know his motivations. We don't know his motivations, and he keeps asking himself, why do I do this? Why do I do this? And 2 books in, we don't have the answer, and I love it.
Sounds enthralling.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
Interesting. And that's remind me one more time. The Blade Itself, is that the name of the that's the name of the first book?
The first book.
Okay.
The trilogy is The First Law.
First Law. Okay. Cool. Interesting. Any other recommendations this week, first Gwen?
No,
Okay.
I'm all done.
Truman, did you have anything you wanted to recommend to our
Sure,
Many
rapid fire.
listeners.
2 things. I recently finished reading Dune for the first time. It's quite an interesting read, particularly in 2020 and 2021. I mean, most people have read Dune. There's one scene in particular that I thought was very weird and melancholy and touching and sad, is when the planetologist Dr. Kynes is about to die and is having hallucinations of his father. It's a very interesting scene, and you never really get anything else after that about him. And it's just such an interesting way to let a character die.
Yeah.
That's a book. It's a good one. I have been replaying, after a decade or so, Final Fantasy XII. And man, that game is interesting and good. The story is much better than my memory gave it credit for being. I remembered it being discount Star Wars. It's like, yeah, it's got Han Solo and sexy Chewbacca, right?
Oh, such sexy Chewbacca. Doesn't get enough credit.
No.
She's great.
No, man. She is waifu material.
Weeb approved.
Although I think she's alluded to be like 150 or something, so maybe not. Maybe
Doesn't
not.
I feel
At
like
least
that,
she looks like she's not 10.
It's true. It's true.
Captain Bash of Dalmasca. God damn, what a hero.
What a stud,
Love
right?
that guy.
Sometimes I sleep talk, and that's what I yell. I'm Captain Bash.
Captain Bash.
Y'all have seen that video, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, man. 12. It holds up much more than I thought it would. So it was a pleasant surprise. And in the PC remaster that I'm playing, you can toggle the ×4 speed really easy, which is
I don't know how people play that game without that. I played 12 2 years ago or whenever it came out. And man, I was like, I had never played it. I played part of it when I borrowed Tyler's PS2 a long time ago, but I didn't get very far. And probably because of that
I was
shit.
going to say, you tried to play that as an adult without the fast forward button?
Like, man, yeah.
I mean, honestly, one of the main ingredients to playing through Final Fantasy 12 without that is to be 12 and not have any other games to play. So that's a big thing. But yeah, I love that game. That's probably my top 3 Final Fantasy games, I think.
The setting of Ivalice is so interesting, too. I've played a couple games there now. And it's just cool. I like it.
It's a good game. Cool. Okay, I've got a couple recommendations real quick that I'm going to remember. Okay, the first one, I'll just do this while I have it up because I had to pull it up to remember this YouTube channel. There's a YouTube channel, some guy named Joel Haver. He does these weird animations. I'm just going to show you the tone of animations.
I've
Have you
seen that
these?
guy.
Huzzah!
YouTube account linked to yours?
I don't know.
'Cause
Well, I told
every-
you. I watch when I find a video I like, I watch it on every Tyler's YouTube account so that we all can
Because I
enjoy
literally
it.
seen that exact video suggested for me this week. And your last week's suggestion I had also seen.
But he has this series of videos playing an RPG for the first time that also has a really oblique reference to, I think the video is called Do You Want Some Water? Anyways, they're really good and really fucking bizarre, and like they look like you're watching the 12th copy of a VHS tape from your grandma. I don't know. It's really good. He doesn't have a ton of stuff up yet. It's like a fairly recent channel, I think. Well, at least since he's been doing kind of videos in this style. But they're really fun if you're a fan of like specifically fantasy RPGs. They're really goofy and fun, and they're not too long. They're pretty short. The other things I wanted to talk about this week, I started a replay. Well, I guess it's a new play of a kind of remaster of a fairly recent game that Truman actually clued me into that it was being remastered as Observer. Made by, I just need to say this word out loud, Bloober Team. That's the name of the developers, guys, and they make scary games. Bloober Team. Observer is a really cool cyberpunk game starring Rutger Hauer.
R.I.P.
Yeah, like I know that there's another big cyberpunk game out, but this game is like the just Blade Runner cyberpunk. Like it feels exactly like that. It's real fucked up and weird and bizarre. I don't want to talk about it too much because it's just really good, and you just get to hear Rutger Hauer's like voiceover noiry monologue for the entire playthrough. It's really great. The other thing is a comic book that I finally started reading that I've wanted to read for a long time called Gideon Falls, which is Jeff Lemire's currently running Image comic. And I'm almost done with the first trade. I think there are 6 trades out now, but it is a really surreal and horrific comic book that is, like the Jeff Lemire has also stated, is very much influenced by the last season of Twin Peaks. And it's got some really horrific art in it that's really cool, and dead priests who are coming to people in their sleep, and this black barn is just appearing to seemingly disconnected people all around the world. It's really good. If you like Jeff Lemire, I mean, Jeff Lemire's a fucking good writer.
Lemire do is Sweet Tooth?
Yeah,
him?
Sweet Tooth,
And
Underwater Welder. Yeah. Roughnecks, Essex County, I think, are some of his other bigger ones.
Have I only read Underwater Welder stuff?
Oh, really?
I think so. I think I own it. I love Underwater Welder.
So good. I will definitely be lending you Gideon Falls when I'm done with it because I want to see.
Is it done yet?
No.
I'm in the middle of so many that are just ongoing.
I know.
I started up. I'm rereading East of West.
Oh, nice.
Because I finally bought Year 3. I have not read Year 3 yet.
Oh, cool.
But I realized there's a shit ton that happens in that first book that like there's so much information that I can't remember.
Yeah.
I didn't like 2. I remember as
I
much.
don't think I read 2. I think I only read the first one.
Year
and then
2 is
I was
not
gonna
as good
wait.
as Year 1, so I'm hoping Year 3 turns it around.
Interesting. Cool. Those are the recommendations I had. Tyler, Justin, you didn't really have anything. Okay. Well, we'll be back next week with the last few episodes of Made in Abyss. Truman will be back, so you can look forward to that. But you've been here with me, Tyler Harris, and
Gwen Hammer.
Tyler McKinley.
Justin Hammer.
Truman Blanchard.
Bless your souls.